Archbishop Duncan Williams is being accused of presenting a sword to Apostle Selman. You're like, okay, what's so special about this sword that people were actually talking about it with accusation attached to it? It's because this sword, in a lot of people's views, look Masonic, or they look like they come from the Freemasonic organization. It's the Reality Show, the Daily Christian Commentary video. That's the subject of this particular video, and that's what we're going to be talking about here. Now, I've covered the subject of Freemasonry on this channel before, and I've covered it so much that there were people that were even saying, they just that there is a lot to cover about that subject, and I think people become dismissive once you talk about it a little bit more, because they feel like, why are you talking about it so much? It's because by that time, it is an important subject. This subject is a very major subject. It's just that it's not been covered. And there's a lot of people that don't know about it. And so if you know about it, we understand. Doesn't mean we don't have to talk about it. And it's not like we've been talking about it from the first video. Let's calm down in that situation. And so this particular situation has come up because Bishop Duncan Williams has been presenting the sword to people. He's been presenting swords to people and so forth. He did one for Pastor Eze, but he then recently presented another sword to Apostle Joshua Selman. Now, subject is coming up of whether Duncan Williams is initiating these people with this sword, or by presenting this sword. That's kind of like the accusation around this particular video, or around what people are saying about this story. Is he initiating people and whatnot? And so I wanted to talk about it because I thought there was a lot to take from the subject. Okay, first of all, a lot of pastors have been joining cults over the last couple of years. Now, we're not just talking about people coming out with testimonies of saying that they were made to join a cult or supposedly they joined a cult. We're talking about pastors have been publicly. And one example of that was Pastor Rick Joyner, very popular man who is a preacher on Morning Star. Is it Morning Star or Daystar? That Christian channel. And in that channel, he presents, I think that's also the name of his church. He's always talking about his membership into the organization of the Knights of Malta. The Knights of Malta is a Freemason organization. I've broken that down. I've explained it to the T. Now, when we spoke about the initiation of the king, or the installment of the king, we spoke about Archbishop Tabo from the Anglican Church. And we spoke about that narrative, or about that particular subject, with the tone of how the Anglican Church has been very closely with the Catholics associating with the Masons. Because remember that the very person that started the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt, was a Catholic. Okay? So here you can track that there's been a lot of association with preachers, clergymen associating with secret societies. And so that's why people thought that the sword was just a public show of that. Okay? And so it comes from that. It's not empty subject. Okay? So for people that want to dismiss it, it's not an empty subject. It's something that's there, and it's something that we've seen. Okay? Now, also remember, with this association of organizations like the Illuminati and people that were part of the Knights of Templars, Knights of Malta, these organizations that are part of the Illuminati, coming from the Catholic Church, and now you see some of them. As a matter of fact, there's another thing that I want to bring up. I'm going to be visiting one other Freemason temple very soon. So subscribe to the channel to see that video. I want to show you something about some of this Mason thingy. You will notice the association with a church a lot of times with these organizations. And remember, that's why the Freemason Masons themselves, they have a Bible on their thingy. Not that they actually read it, not that they care, just they use it for ritual formats. But also, note something else as well, is that subject being there, we know that at different rankings in these organizations, you are presented with something different. So the subject of whether Archbishop Duncan Williams is presenting these people with the initiation rites or whatever. Remember, rites being processes of joining. Yeah, you know what I mean. It comes from those ideas. For him, therefore, you might ask, why do people think he particularly is doing it? Yes, a lot of times people might think that because people have said that these rings that these bishops wear are Masonic. But we know that some of these rings, they give each other when they go into new roles. Like you are appointed an apostle or bishop, they give you a ring or something like that. So we're not talking about the rings, okay? But we know about the subjects about the rings. So that's where some of these ideas might come from. But also remember, when we made the last video on Bishop Duncan Williams' testimony of how he lost his fingers because of these rituals and whatnot, you'll remember Archbishop Duncan Williams said himself that in his family there was a Mason. And so that may be also part of the reasons of why these questions come up around him. Now that I've explained where these things might come from, let's talk about the sword. Is the sword a Masonic sword? Now, if you've looked around at swords that are used for initiations and so forth, sometimes they are very uniquely designed. And if you look at the things that the Masons themselves give for thingy, let me give an example. If you check in the Masonic organization or Masonic order, they have aprons. Now, these aprons are different. So when you get to a new degree, because there's 33 degrees in Freemasonry, you'll be given a new apron. You are given a new item, basically. And so we know that there's that in that whole jazz over there. Is a sword one of the items in any of the degrees? That would be the question to ask. Which Masonic degree do they give a sword? Now, I might not know any particularly. I know it's not the first, I know it's not the third, I know it's not the first, the second, or the third degree, up until maybe the fifth degrees. Now, I might have forgotten what do they give in each and every single one of them, but that's I don't remember a sword being one of them. Okay, I don't remember. Now, it might be as something that's given in the knight orders, in the orders of knighthood. Okay, maybe Knight Templar. I don't know what do they give over there when you rise in the ranks. And also, these people, Apostle Selman, Bishop Duncan, they are people that believe in this doctrine of rankings in the spirit, what, which I've always said, that's not biblical. Stop teaching that. Okay? Now, that also sounds like language that goes there. You see what I mean? Now, also, I want to also highlight Apostle Selman himself. He knows about Freemasonry. We've had videos of him describing these things to the T. So it's not far off there as well why people would be thinking that. You get me? Don't know about the top degrees. I can remember between the first and to the seventh degree, because sometimes it's very difficult to actually know what do these people get when they do these things. But I don't know of any of the seventh first degrees that they give a sword. And if these guys are being initiated, to what degree were they initiated? And also it's important to note Masonic initiations are done in the temple, in the Masonic temple. They don't do Masonic rituals outside. Now, they do have public parades, but when they do the public parades, they are in full gear. And so that doesn't mean it's not an initiation. I don't know anything about that. But what I'm stating, but is it Freemasonic? That's my subject. Is it an initiation? We don't know. Okay. Yeah, it could be right out in the public, but then not be. It could be, might not be. Either ways. But is it Freemasonic? That's the question I'm more going towards. And the first degrees, I don't know if they do that. And so that would question what degrees are this man's for them to be presented with a sword, And so that's one thing. Like if you listen to ex-Freemasons, nobody talks about having a sword. Even the people that, like the TikToker that I've talked about, who is a Freemason, he doesn't show any sword of his initiation, and we do know that he is a little bit over the first 3 degrees. There is a subject about, the word of God is a double-edged sword. And so someone might make a claim to say, no, he gets it from that verse. Okay? But it says the word of God is a sword. So it's like a double-edged sword. And so to think of the word, now also when the Bible does speak about thinking, it speaks about the sword that came from his mouth, right? And so if that's a symbol, the word of God is a best example or a best gift for presenting the sword. The word is the sword. And so a Bible is an example of the word being a sword. I think the best gift, like I explained a little bit earlier on, maybe in knighthood. Okay? I haven't looked at knighthood a lot. Knight degrees, Knight Templars, Knight of Malta, because there's so many knighting organizations that we can't even count. Okay? So maybe in knighthood they present a sword, because remember the knight idea is that it's a sword, it's a horseman, swordman kind of a thing. And so it would make sense that a sword is the thing that they present. So maybe if this was a way for him to portray the idea of, the word of God being the sword, I think a Bible does that. Now, someone will say, but Ricky, a Bible, like it's like $100 gift, that one. But no, if the sword is, if that sword particularly, like there is what is known as takanas, right? It's these special swords and stuff like that are made with special metals, very expensive and stuff like that. There's an entire audience that focuses on those kind of things, takanas. So we know that they're expensive swords. And maybe that's how you present your gift, okay? So a gift is a gift. It reflects the person's love for the person. So yeah. So maybe he wants to present a gift like that, a sword. For me, an antique Bible is a perfect gift. Now, that's me, right? An antique Bible is a perfect gift to illustrate the sword. And antique Bibles, and remember, antique Bibles are valuable. It still holds its value over the years. And a replica King James, those ones are a bit costly. You can get one, but they are there for like $100 up to $1,000. Personally, I do want to actually get one. I do want to also get a replica King James 1611. Now, when I say replica King James, it's like the original format of the King James. It's they are very, 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 really beautiful artwork thingy, and so that would be a nice gift. That is representative of the word. It does also illustrate on the aspect of the sword, but like I said earlier on, it's preference. It's a subject of preference to say you want to present the word of God as a sword in this format. Maybe that's what he was doing. I don't know. But for me, a Bible does it. And if you don't want to give like a normal Bible, an antique Bible. If you don't want to buy like an antique Bible, you can buy what is known as a leaf. Basically, they sell like a paper, one paper out of those old 1611 Bibles, or Bibles that were made around the 1611 period with the first printing press. Basically, they're very expensive thing. One leaf can go up for $1,000. Okay, one leaf from those Bibles. So basically, one paper from it comes with a certificate, the whole nine yards. So that has value. It does also go back to the whole thing about, but hey, people make their presentations a thingy differently. Could it be? Might be, might not be. Was it an initiation? There's no way of proving that, because he just makes the presentation for thingy. He states why he wants to give them that and so forth. So for me, was it an initiation? Not really. I don't think so. But it might be for knighthood, because I don't know nothing about knighting, how the knights present gifts and stuff like that. Because I did hear someone saying, I can't remember who, saying that there might have been a private initiation, so this was a public initiation. And so, was it? I don't think so. But maybe for knighthood, because knights do have that idea of the sword, and also you see it with the queen, whatnot, and all. And when the queen knights a person, which is kind of, you understand, bringing them in. When the queen knights a person, there is a presentation of a sword. Now, not all the time are they given the sword. Sometimes the sword is put over their shoulders. You see that, and so that's why I say for knighthood maybe. But Freemasonry, I'm not aware of any degrees where they actually make a presentation of a sword. And so, might be wrong. Y'all holler back and y'all tell me what you think. Do you think it was an initiation? Why do you believe that? For me, might not be. Maybe. We don't know. It's actually show we did any Christian commentary videos. I wanted to present all aspect of this entire subject, and you guys can make up your mind about that one. Other videos that are done today, they'll be down in the pinned comments, and I'll see you later on. Load shedding is about to hit Mandams, and so I got to go.